Hi everybody, welcome to my thoughts. I don't know whether my thoughts are crazy or insane, but that doesn't matter. That's not the topic here. My point is I'm going to let this fly, and I know I'm going to get some feedback on it, and some of you are going to think I'm nuts. Some of you are going to think I'm sane, and I think it's going to be fun. Now, my topic is Kesha, and I hope I said that right, versus Dr. Luke. I happen to be off from work today because my car broke down, and I don't have a lot to do today, so I've had time to read the paper, and I want to note that I've been following this case because I've been sucked into it like I don't like soap operas. I never did, and I don't watch them because I know I get sucked into the drama, and this is how people get sucked in to the drama. Okay. I also want to let you know that I'm an aspiring musician myself. I'm a person from a dysfunctional home, so I do have some kind of strong thoughts on the situation. So I've been following the case now for 2 or 3 days. I first saw it on the Facebook feed. I gotta admit that I first became aware of the Kesha music in 2010. Now, I being a rocker, I'm into Peter Gabriel. I like humanitarian stuff. I'm all for civil rights. So let's just say that I'm diehard, old school, classic rock music from the heart, from the soul, and I'm not into stuff that doesn't have heart to it. So in Kesha's music, now I'm addressing her music right now. When her music came out, I was not a fan. As a matter of fact, I was kind of appalled. My first thought was, what is this crap? Okay. Now, if a musician is true, their personality goes out into the music, and they're one person on the mic, on the stage, and off the stage, off the mic, unless they have some kind of problem where they're two different people, one on in the entertainment field and one off the field, which happens quite a bit. Let's take INXS wrote a song called Live Baby Live, and the guy killed himself. Alright, so I picked up the story. For those of you who have read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm going to give you the quick version. If you want to read it all, there's sites called Jezebel and CNN, and it'll go into the details. But I picked it up basically. Kesha was trying to get putting her stuff on YouTube. Now, as a person from a similar background as her, I had a lot of dysfunction in my life. If I had YouTube back then, I probably would put my stuff on there in the hopes that some record executive would see it and scoop me up, and I would be famous, and I would make all this money, and they would probably promise me all this stuff. But that's not really how it works. You have to make the money back to recoup the recording costs. So artists don't even really see all that much money, and that was back then. Nowadays, it's a different game. It's a singles market. So he supposedly, from what she said, convinced her to quit high school or whatever she was going to pursue something, maybe go to college and be a star. Now, my other thought on that is there's scams like this all the time on Craigslist. Be a model. And these women get exploited because they think that it's one thing and it turns out to be another thing, and things end up pretty badly. So let's just say this was one of those kind of deals, okay? Let's say she was a little talented and success went to her head, okay? Let's say she got some success. Maybe it was people bought it. So just because people buy it doesn't mean it's any good. People buy crap music all the time. It doesn't mean that the sales don't necessarily reflect the quality of the content. Now, let's say Dr. Luke is a scumbag. Let's say that he did coerce her. And people do this. They're called, I just read a book about it. It's called invalidators. They promise you the world. They put you down to make you feel bad about yourself so that you can't think for yourself. If you're already dysfunctional, you will have a hard time standing up for yourself because you don't feel worthy enough even before you met this person. Because invalidation has been your whole life story. So in the court thing, she said, hey, he raped me and that's a horrible thing. I'm very anti-rape. But because she's so confused, she went about it in such a way that said, well, you raped me, I get out of the contract. And what she maybe should have done was go after a criminal case. And that's what everyone says, oh, well, why didn't she do that? Well, you know why she didn't do it? She was probably dysfunctional to begin with. And all of this browbeating and disintegration of her self-esteem and her ego would allow her to not say anything. And because she wanted to be rich so bad, she was like, I can't tell on this guy because I want the quan, I want the coin, I want the endorsements, I want the money, I want to be rich, I want to be all over everything. As David Bowie used to sing about, fame makes a man take things over. So she could not comprehend the fact that if she tells on him, that she's going to lose all the stuff that he promised her. So it probably caused her to lie. Now don't get personal about her not doing what she was supposed to do because her dysfunction caused her not to say anything. This is what I believe. I can't prove this yet, but I'm telling you that I bet you all this, when it comes out in the wash, this is what you're going to find, is that she lied under oath. Not because she's a liar, because her head was so twisted up in this fantasy that she's going to be rich and famous, and that if she lies about it, she's not only going to lose everything, because she thinks that he's going to be the one that's going to give him everything. She can't turn him in. So she lied under oath. So now that Dr. Luke is scared, he's probably saying, well, she lied under oath. Look, it's right there. And she doesn't know what to do because she's so confused. She wanted it all. She thought this guy was going to give it to her. And she felt betrayed. So when people feel betrayed, they lash out. Now, I feel like she got to the point where she couldn't take it anymore. Unfortunately, this happens way after the fact. If she was functional and her self-esteem was high, she would have did the criminal case and the civil case And she probably could be out of this contract right now. But she's not, because of all of the dysfunction. And I started thinking of things like, like when I was younger, I drank, okay? And it probably wasn't a good idea, but I can't blame the people that gave me alcohol, because then I'm the victim. If I drank and I was under 18 and I met somebody back then when I wanted to be rich and famous that said, I'm going to give you the world, here, drink, and I was already drinking, I would have been, this guy is the coolest thing in the world. He's let me drink under age. I'll do whatever for him that he wants. Now, who knows what really happened? What if she is a party girl? What if he was a friend and she went out drinking and got loaded and came home to his place because she had no other place to go and woke up in a bed naked? Maybe she took her clothes off. You don't know. But she woke up and she's like, oh, I was in his bed naked, so he must be a rapist. So it's like, there's so many scenarios that could have happened in this case that nobody even knows. Really, truly, no one knows except for Dr. Luke and Kesha. And I don't think either one of them are able to admit it. Because they have to look at themselves. They have to say, wow, I'm really a horrible person. Maybe I am an animal. And this is what I can't understand. You put out an album called Animal, and you're an animal. It boggles my mind. So I really think, in my heart of hearts, that she was not treated with respect. But I don't think she had any self-respect to begin with. I think after a while, she started to get it. And when she get it, and she started to fight back, she started to feel the power of the wrath of people in power. And she said, that's it, I can't take it no more. She's like, I almost died, and if I would rather die than go through another day of this, so I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else again. And that's common for people that have been through abuse. The only problem is she can't save everybody. I think what she really needs to do is calm down a little bit and heal. And stop worrying about making music right now. Because I don't think anybody could really make quality music. And I don't really think her music was quality to begin with, but that's just my opinion. Under duress like that. And I think that that's what she was trying to say. Like, if I have to make any more music, it's not going to be with this guy, because I'm already under duress, and I can't even be around him. And I believe that. I don't know what he did, and I don't want to believe that he is a monster. But I think he probably had some qualities that were kind of sick. I do believe that, because nobody would just come out and claim that they were abused if it wasn't true, right? But on the other hand, people do it all the time. There's stories in the paper like you would not believe, where women will say, this happened to me and that happened. It just happened. It was a racial thing, where these 3 women said that there was a racial thing, and then they did an investigation and they found that that never happened, that they were lying. So all I'm trying to say in this whole thing is, don't get sucked up into one side or the other. And I've done it myself, and it's torturing me. This is why I'm saying, if you want some mental health, do not assume that you know what happened. I sort of know. I have a gut feeling, but I don't have all of the facts. So until I have all of the facts, I'm just going to go on what I've seen so far and try to deduct my own reasoning from the facts. Now, the other night through all of this, I went to some interviews because I figured, why not profile? Okay, if abusers have a certain profile, usually from what I've read in this book, it's ego, arrogance, and entitlement. Luke might feel, hey, you know, I found you and I spent all this money, and he feels entitled to money that he thinks he's going to make in the future, that he still feels like he's entitled to it. But if it turns out that he raped her, I feel like he shouldn't be entitled to anything. I feel like a breach of contract was done. Even though it wasn't written in the contract, there's natural laws and justice in place that if she is telling the truth and it actually happened, I don't think she should have to make any more albums with Sony or anybody else. I think the rest of the contract should be null and void. So I think Sony and Dr. Luke have to decide what's more important to them, being a human being or being a business, because they don't coincide sometimes. You know, when people say, don't worry, you know, it's not personal, it's just business. If they take the slant that we're going to get our money anyways, we don't care if somebody was raped or not, we have a contract, that thing is going to explode. Because nobody's going to work with Sony. Everyone's going to want to get out of their contracts, and no one's going to buy Sony products. Like, think about it. If this thing is true, this is what Kesha says, are you willing to go out and buy her album, knowing that the money is going to go to an alleged abuser, or a company that has housed this guy and not really done anything to investigate? How would that make you feel? Even if you loved Kesha's music so much, would you still, do you love it that much to spend money to support that? I don't think so. And they know this. Believe me, they're probably a lot smarter than they're making out to be. And they keep saying, sorry, we're not going to let her out of the contract. And I think if they were smart businessmen, they would let her out of the contract. Because right now she's gained so much press that people start thinking, oh, what company's going to work with her? You know what? There's probably companies right now that are waiting to see what's going to happen because they want to snatch her up. They might even buy out the contract. And my point, the thing that drives me nuts is like, is she really that good? Is she like bankable? Where like if I was Sony, would it make more sense to sell out, or would it make more sense to wait to see if they could get money? And I realized if I thought like that, I would be insane. So, what I'm trying to say is if I signed a record company contract and somebody abused me, I would maybe try to write a song about it and record it on their label. If I knew I couldn't get out. And then it's a complicated, very, very complicated matter. But I'm sticking to the fact, well, okay, it's not a fact. I'm sticking to my feelings that say Kesha was abused. But I think she had her own baggage that she brought in. when you have your own baggage and you don't know love from abuse, you don't figure it out at first. You figure it out years later when it's too late, and that's the sad part of it. So, as an artist, I hope that she can find some material out of this, and take that material and record it. Hopefully without Luke. And he claims she doesn't have to be with him, so I hope that she takes her pain, because that's what artists do. They take their pain and they turn it into material to help other people. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Not cashing in on the latest fad, right? Is take all this whole ordeal and come up with a hit or two with a different producer. The only problem with that is if he did rape her, he's paying her for the rape. It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. So, I'm not sure how I feel anymore. So the way I've left it is, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray that if Dr. Luke did do what he did, what she said he did, that he can find some atonement and see that he was wrong and get right with the powers that be and make amends and restitution, maybe by giving up the next 3 albums solely to her, where he doesn't make any money at all. And if it didn't happen, then prayers for him and his family going through this tough time of accusations. If we don't know if they're true or not. And for Kesha, if this is true, what happened, I pray for, even though I'm not crazy about the music, I will pray that you've made so far. Though I haven't really listened to all of it, and because it was a bad first impression. But anyways, that you can heal from this ordeal, because it's very traumatic. I've been through abuse myself, and it allowed me to stay stuck in nasty relationships, and I had to own that. When I owned it, I was free. When I stopped blaming everybody else. I hope that you find the therapy you need, and if it's not true, then I hope that you too can find your own atonement and forgiveness and the anger that's driving these convictions, if it's not true. But the thing is, it, like I said, nobody knows, so it's like something bad, like, unfortunately, has to happen like this for people to realize that things need to change. And perhaps it's new contracts that have a clause in it where if a producer has too much authority, and whether it's physical, emotional, or sexual, that an artist can get out of a contract. And those are my thoughts on this. Let the comments fly away.